What's up, it's Jumpo from Medicheck Pool, and this is our quick guide to the Halls of Atonement dungeon in Shadowlands. Also, here's a list of timestamps on screen and in the description so you can jump to the spot that you need. We'll start off by showing the bosses, and then we'll talk about notable trash and other things at the end. The first boss in Halls of Atonement is Halkias the Sin-Stained Goliath. To get to the boss, you need to fill up this anima bar by killing 3 shards of Halkias rock golems found around the area. They do a few simple abilities that aren't too difficult to deal with. Alright, the boss himself has 4 major abilities. The first is a smash on the tank that leaves a patch of rocks on the ground that does damage if you stand on them. The boss also throws rocks at a random player that leaves the same style of patch on the ground. Managing the rock patches on the ground is important because of the cross-pattern laser beam that shoots from the boss. Tanks will need to move the boss to an open area before this ability is cast to help players avoid the rock shards on the ground. The beams can also randomly change direction, so be ready for that. The last important ability is a fear that gets put on a random player that needs to be instantly dispelled. The next boss is Echelon. To get to him, you have to open that door. Echelon throws a red pool on random players that needs to be sidestepped. Some ads spawn that explode when killed, which means you might need to kill them one at a time if the damage becomes too much. Also, try to keep the ads together when they die. The boss does a curse to a random player which stuns that player after 4 seconds, then targets the player with a smashing leap. The cursed player needs to run on top of the dead ads, forcing the boss to leap on them, preventing them from respawning. Oh, hey, real quick, if you like this video, consider supporting us on Patreon. It helps us make sweet guides like this one. High Adjudicator Elise has 2 abilities that can be interrupted: Bolt of Power and Volley of Power. You should be able to interrupt every cast, but Volley is the higher priority cast for sure. Elise summons an untankable ad that fixates a random player and does pulsing AoE damage. Bring that ad to one of the red vessels nearby. It also might be important to note that the ad will stop moving if the fixated player looks at it. The boss also casts a channel that puts big red swirls under random players that explode, which is easily avoided with a sidestep. The final boss is Lord Chamberlain. Statues will occasionally move in the direction indicated by a red arrow. Try to avoid being hit. A player will randomly be targeted by a frontal cone that needs to be avoided. The tank will get targeted by Stigma of Pride, which is a ramping dot that does massive damage to the tank over 18 seconds. This ability is no joke. The boss will teleport to the middle of the room and target all statues with a red beam. Move away from the boss and the beams to avoid being hit by the statues. After the boss pulls the statues, move in between the statues to avoid being hit by the pushback. And lastly, Chamberlain targets a statue, turning it red, then casts red bolts at the statue, doing AoE damage to all players. Someone needs to intercept the red bolts to stop the AoE damage. This should probably be the tank. So let's recap the bosses quick. Halkias, manage the positions of the rock patches and instantly dispel the fear. Echelon, the cursed player needs to stand on top of the dead ads for the boss's leap. Elise, interrupt Volley and bring the fixated ads to the red vessels. Lord Chamberlain, tanks, be ready for Stigma of Pride, dodge statues, and have someone intercept the red bolts. We also like to mention a few notable mobs. The Vicious Gargan Bears put a nasty stacking bleed on the tank. Focus these down quickly and CC/kite them if needed. Stoneborn Reavers. These are the gargoyle mobs that need to be interrupted or things get really bad. Depraved Obliterators. It's super important that you never let them cast Curse of Obliteration. Don't worry about any other cast. This one needs to be interrupted. Inquisitor Seagar is a mini-boss that gets pulled whenever you attack any neutral tormented souls. You need to kill all of the tormented souls to stop Seagar from healing. And that's our quick guide to Halls of Atonement. If you have any questions, leave us a comment or come check out our Discord. We're building a pretty awesome community there. I'll also be streaming every Tuesday and Thursday morning from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. Links to everything in the description below. Love you all. Peace.